As I mentioned here, you can mute your audio and turn off your video. That'll give you the best experience if you have a slow connection. Use the chat to ask a question. Handout is out on the PC Club website in the past meetings area. First, we'll cover some club status and some information, and then we'll get to our main topic.
Tom, are you presenting? This is Debbie. Are you presenting anything yet?
Yes, you should see my screen. Are people seeing my slideshow?
I'm not, but I always have trouble.
I see it.
Either.
Possibly you've got a different view showing. So you has a when you connect into Teams, you can show individual users in their video, or you can see the shared screen. So you may want to check that. You may have accidentally made the videos or the boxes of people bigger than what the shared screen is. Okay. Future meetings. We do have a MACSIG coming up this Friday, March 21st at 11:30. And if you do have an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, it's well worth your time. Mike Griffin and the Mac SIG go over new news, and you usually have some information and some demos there. Our next question and answer session is April 1st, and that we do online. So if you haven't joined us before, you're welcome to join at any time, ask a question, or just sit back and listen there. And then our next general meeting is Wednesday, April 16th, and that will be an in-person and web. So we try and do the in-person meetings about every other month, and this one happens to be special. It's usually our spring sandwich meeting. So if you can attend, the first 24 people who sign up, there's a free sandwich. If you can attend, and you do need to sign up, pick out the sandwich that you want. And I sent an invite last week, but I'll send another one after this meeting, and you'll have till April 8th to sign up. And our topic that day will be online security and passwords. And we'll talk again about password managers, passkeys, and just in general some tips to keep you safe. These are our officers. Jim is our president, Linda is our vice president, Paul's our membership secretary, Paula is our treasurer, Chuck is our recording secretary, Mike leads the MACSIG, Andrew is our communication coordinator, I'm a director at large, and we couldn't do it without some of the volunteers there. Members, new and old, you can pay your members. Somebody's not muted there. If you want to mute, yourself, and you can, when we get to the end of the presentation, ask a question, you can unmute. Members old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul, and it's especially important if you do change your email address, because that's all the communications we send out through emails, and so that's the way we keep in touch. Suggestions for topics. If you do have a suggestion, email your ideas or talk to a board member. We're always looking for people to volunteer to present on particular hardware or software, maybe something you do at home or at work. And if you don't want to present, we do have a monthly newsletter. You can write a short or a long article and we'll put it in there. Out on our website, we do have the past meetings, our recordings and handouts. So if you do miss any or want to revisit any, you can go out there. We do have our deals section, our monthly newsletter, and this is a link. And the link is sent in all the emails also, so you can get out there. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is basic photo editing. In February or last month, our session was on photo organizing and sharing. So this is kind of a continuation of that. So if you did miss that, we talked about how to organize your photos and the steps that I go through, like 17 steps that I go through. And editing is just one of those steps. But I go through and rename files, set locations, GPS location if it doesn't have it, identify people in the photos, add titles, various things like that. And then what I do to share the photos, what platform, in my case, Google Photos that I use. So if you missed it, certainly you can go out there and view that. Very important step in your process and my process for that managing and sharing should be editing your photos to make them the best that they can be. There are many tools, sites, and even artificial intelligence available today, but you need to have a plan and put a little effort in to make it work. It's not going to happen automatically, and people claim that they don't have time to edit their photos. So most of the people I talk to don't do anything. So if you're not currently doing anything, you're in the majority of people. I don't recommend that you stay in that majority. I recommend that you do put in a little time and effort. And I usually do, just like I talked about last month with my organizing and sharing, I usually do it once a month. As I manage and share my photos, I go through and edit them. And usually I'm spending less than a minute for the average photo. So I'm not spending a great deal of time editing and making changes, but because I want to put forth the best image that it can be, there's usually some editing that can be done to improve it. Next is information and tips to get you going with your own photos. Do some of the tips or all of the tips, but resolve today to get off your butt and do something. And I said this same thing for the organizing and sharing. It doesn't get done automatically. Get off your butt and do something. It's not a large commitment of time. It's not a large commitment of effort. The tools are easy to use. The tools, for the most part, are free, or certainly there's lots of free tools. So there's no excuse not to be managing, organizing, sharing, and editing your photos. I will not be covering videos. Videos are slightly different, and you have different tools and options to work with. So I'll mainly be talking about, we'll all be talking about photos. Okay, let's talk about some tools. And these are tools, could be the camera, could be the apps, could be web, could be software. The first and most important tool that you have is what are you using to take the photo? And if you're taking the photo, most people are using their smartphone cameras today, and they do an excellent job when used correctly with the right settings. Before you take a photo with your smartphone, you should read and experiment with the many modes and camera settings or settings your camera has. For example, night mode, macro, panorama, background, quality, burst, live capture, and more. And I've talked about this before. Generally with all electronic devices is I recommend that people do a Google search to find the manual for their smartphone. And because you don't get manuals with when you buy devices anymore, you have to go out to the vendor's website and usually download the manual. And if you download the manual for your smartphone, most smartphones will have 200 to 300 pages of information about their smartphone. And a chapter, usually a chapter in there, is about your camera, all the options that you have, all the different settings that you have, And it's important for you to go through and understand what capabilities your smartphone has. So if you want the best pictures, start at the source. And if you're taking them, that's your smartphone, and learn how to use your smartphone. And I mentioned here that you should be experimenting and trying things because it doesn't cost you anything. Try taking pictures in low light. Try this, try that, try the different settings on there, and that'll make you a better photographer. But even after you do your best with the camera, there's usually some editing that can be done. Maybe not to all photos, but certainly to some. So after you take a photo, there's a ton of tools to easily improve the photo even more. You don't have to be a pro to edit like one. Use the editing tools that we'll talk about next to give your photos just the right great look. So there's lots of tools for editing photos out there, and we'll talk about the major ones and things like that. But almost all the tools have these basic features in them where you can adjust, auto adjust, whether it's the light, the contrast, the color, the exposure, the white balance, and a number of other settings there. Also, they all come with filters, different filters, maybe a black and white, tint, saturation, sharpen, warmify, etc. And you can see this is just a little sample I put in here of the first image is what the camera took, and it's a good picture, but it's not as good as it can be. And so with a little manipulation, you can improve some of the colors, or you can saturate the colors even more. So you are the artist. You have control. You can turn some of these into very, very good, from normal to very, very good. Another thing that you can do with all these tools is usually crop. And crop is very important because a lot of photos that I see have excess information out there, or the real focus of the photo is buried in the background or too small. So you want to crop. Potentially you want to rotate. You may want to straighten it and flip. And flip, if you're not familiar with that, that is if you, let's say you took a selfie. Well, taking a selfie usually what's called uses a mirror image. So if you had writing on your sweatshirt or t-shirt, it's going to come out backwards. Well, with most of the tools, you can easily flip that to get the writing in the correct direction and everything lined up. So very easy to fix a lot of these situations. Okay, now let's talk about some of the tools. This is an example of a very popular tool. If we were in place, I'd ask people how many people use it. And if you do have Apple devices like an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac, I would guess most of the people should have at least heard of this. But Apple Photos is a free app, comes on all these devices, and has a ton of editing capability there. Some of it's, so all those basic capabilities that I talked about, all of those are present in Apple Photos, along with a bunch of other things. And I'll mention some of these more advanced features that you have in Apple Photos. One of them is to remove unwanted objects or people with the AI cleanup tool. So this is just a little example here. After you take a photo and you notice somebody's in the background, you can easily highlight that person or thing that's in the background and remove it. So literally in a matter of seconds, you can make your photo that much better. Another thing that the Apple Photos has is advanced AI filters. And so in addition to standard ones, there's a bunch of different ones. Let's see if we can see some examples here. We'll see if I can pull that up. This is a review from PC Magazine of Apple Photos. And let's see if we can scroll down here. I think it's got some. So you can see there's a ton of options and things that can be done, and also it lets you organize and manage your photos. So if you haven't used it and you have Apple products, you should be using it. These are some of the setting the location or seeing where the photo was shot, but you can do things like that. You can import photos, but some of the editing, let's see. There's some editing. Yeah, I clean up photos. So you can take people out of images. We won't look at the video right now, but there's the magic editor and cleanup tool and these other advanced tools to help you edit your photo there. So let's go back to our presentation. So that's Google Photos, and like I say, it's free. It's on your devices, iPhone, iPad, Mac, uh, and that's very popular, certainly for people that have Apple products. Okay, the other side, you have Microsoft Photos and Paint. That's only available in Windows, but again, it has all those basic things that we talked about for editing, then has some more advanced things. You can do background blur to pinpoint your image's focus. You can use Paint's generative fill to add different objects or visual effects in selected areas, and you can erase, just like Apple Photos, where you can remove objects and things like that. And these removing objects, these used to be advanced features that you'd only see in packages like Adobe Photoshop, and it might take you an hour to do, and it may take you a month to learn how to use it. Now you can do it in seconds by just pointing and clicking and see what it does, and it does a great job. Okay, we talked about the big two, Apple and Microsoft. Another big player is Google, and Google has an app called Google Photos. It's available, and it's available on all platforms. So you can get it for the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, Android, and there's also a website. It also has the advanced features for Magic Editor and Magic Eraser. Let's see if we can go out and see a little bit there of what it is. So here's an example of a photo, and the person who took this photo doesn't want this person in the tent here, or thought it'd be a better deal if the person in the tent was a little bit closer. So literally, with just tapping and moving, that person, and you can make a better photo there in seconds. So there's an example there. Here's an example of a couple of kids. Well, the thing that stands out, and your eye probably was drawn to it right away, was the trash can here. So with just, again, another click or two, get rid of the trash can and see how it blends it in, makes the photo 100% better, concentrates your focus on the kids, and you don't have a distracting trash can there. You have the photo unblur, so if it isn't quite as sharp as you think it can be, artificial intelligence can help, and it can help you unblur the photo. Portrait lighting, it can change the lighting and make it more subtle and better if you're looking for that portrait, or cinematic photos. So there's all these different portrait blur to blur the background. There's all these different features and functions that you see in these various tools. And it's not to say that all your tools, all your photos, you're going to go through and make changes, but maybe one or two here or there are going to look that much better with just a couple of changes there. So that was Google Photos. Let's go back to the presentation here. Another one is Google Picasa. Now that's software that is only for Windows and the Macintosh. We talked about it last month to manage. That's what I use to manage and share my photos, and I haven't found a better replacement yet. We'll talk more about it because I use Google Picasa to also edit my photos, and we'll talk about that. But you have all the controls, the basic controls and things like that that we've talked about. Another excellent option is Adobe. Adobe was kind of the premier graphics and photo editing package, and they have a software called Adobe Lightroom. You can get it for the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, Windows, and a website. It does cost money, roughly $10 a month, plus you get some storage out on the site. It's best for serious amateur photographers. So it's going to take a little bit of time to learn more of the advanced features, but if you consider yourself a serious amateur photographer, it's a very, very nice package. Adobe also makes Adobe Photoshop. Recently as last month, they came out with a version for the iPhone and the iPad that are free. And an Android version is going to be coming out in mid-2025 for the Mac and Windows. The basic version is free. However, if you want more of the advanced features and functions in there, it can cost you up to $300 a year. This is an excellent option for people who really consider themselves a professional photographer. And if you are going to use a tool like this, just expect that it is going to take you some time to learn the complexities and the variety of tools that you have access to. Things like generative fill and generative expand, combining, composting, blending images with selections, layering your photos and working on them and moving things around, masks, spot healing brushes, and access to thousands of free Adobe stock assets. It also has a very easy selection tool. Instead of, in the old days, you had to do what was called manual lasso. In addition to the tools that we talked about, here's another free. This is a free option, GIMP, G-I-M-P. It's available for Windows and Mac. It's free. It's a public domain created by a consortium to be one of the most powerful packages next to Adobe Photoshop. So it's very, very powerful. The trouble is it's not real user-friendly. But it has many of the same features that you find in Photoshop, so some people will use that. And then there's also AI sites out there. In the past, I've shown a site called MyHeritage, which is a genealogy site, but they have a whole section on photos and videos for sharpening, for colorizing, for taking faces and put them in historical situations. They have a whole bunch of capability. Canva is also a very popular site for AI. And then this is a few others there, but literally there's hundreds, if not thousands, of other sites for editing and manipulating photos there. Okay, we talked about the most popular tools and what's available. Now let's talk about what I use. And I alluded to what I used already. During the month, I may use Apple Photos because I do have access to Apple Photos. I have an iPad. I may use Google Photos. I may use Microsoft Photos. And I also use GIMP. But let's say in a month I take pictures and I maybe have 100 photos for the month that I want to keep and manage and organize. Of those 100 photos, some months I don't use or I don't change any of them using any of these tools. Other times at most I may change 1 or 2 or 3 of the photos to do a special edit like removing an object or blurring or sharpening or other AI edits. So I'm not using AI. I'm not using these tools on every photo that I have. I use Google Picasa to do my standard edits at the end of the month in my process to manage and share them. It's very fast, it's easy to use, and provides very good editing and organizing tools. Like I mentioned last month, the caveat is Picasa is no longer being updated by Google. They quit updating it in May of 2016. It's no longer being updated, but it still works for what I need. And there is a version available for Windows and the Macintosh. Picasa does have all of your basic edits and some of them off of its tab. Crop lets you crop. I crop almost every photo to make it look better. There's always things that I can get rid of and concentrate people's attention to the most important thing in the photo. Straighten. Frequently I use the straighten to fix photos that are off kilter, or especially if I've scanned images, I'll use the straighten. Red eye, don't use it much anymore, but if you take flash photography, flash pictures, you can still end up with red eye with your smartphones and that. It'll automatically go through, detect the faces, and correct the red eye problem. Another feature it has is I'm feeling lucky. That changes your photo's color and contrast to produce what it thinks is ideal. Then there's auto contrast, auto color. Then there's a retouch for getting rid of unsightly blemishes or something in the photo there. You can improve the quality there. Also, there's a text tool. So if you want to add text to your picture, maybe you want to add a heading. This is a wedding. This is a birthday party. You might want to identify some of the people. You can add any kind of text, any size, any font. Then you have a fill light slider where you can, if the object is too dark in the background there, you can use the light slider to lighten it up and to make the photos much better there. And you have a rotate, so if the image would look better rotated 90 degrees or 180 degrees or whatever you need, you can do it. Then there's a tuning tab in Picasa, and that has the fill light slider we talked about in the previous, so they just repeated here. There's a highlight slider to make things, to add or reduce the brightness spots or highlights in your photos. There's a shadow slider to improve the shadows in the photo. Color temperature, so if there's your photos look a little blue or stuff like that, you can change the tint of the photos to make it natural. A neutral color picker, this will adjust the colors, all the colors in the photo to a neutral color. All you do is click your mouse over an area that is supposed to be white or gray, and it'll automatically set things for you. Then you have an effects tab where you can sharpen, warmify, film grain. Has about 30 different filters that you can add. Okay, what I do. What I do in my photo process in Picasa is once a month, like I mentioned last month, when I manage and share my photos, I go through and edit my photos before I share it there. If you haven't seen that presentation, look at the February presentation where I talk about photo organizing and sharing. And so there's like 6 steps that I do before I do my edit, but then I edit. And when I edit my photos, I go through and do crops, I fix the lighting, I fix the color, and many more things. Most of the photos may not need any change at all. But if they do need a crop or they do need the color or that, I go through and fix it. And I'm spending less than a minute on the average photo there. So I'm not spending a lot of time. I'm not spending hours a month doing stuff. I'm spending for my entire organizing and sharing of all my pictures for the month, I spend less than an hour doing it. And then after I edit my photos, I continue my process of organizing and sharing, and eventually upload the photos to Google Photos, put them in albums, and share them with people. Okay. Okay, now we'll do a little demo, and I'll do a demo first of Google Picasso, showcasing some of what it does, and then we'll go out and I'll show you a little bit in Google Photos, a little demo there. So let me get over to, oh, that's not it. Let me get, so I'm over in Picasa here, and what I've got is I've got some sample images here. And some of these sample images are scanned images that I did because they showcase some of the editing a little better than maybe what you might be doing in your current photos. But I also have some current photos that I'll also show you what I do. But I'll show you how powerful Picasa is. And basically, this is true of any of these other packages too. So this is an example of myself, a grade school photo there that was scanned in. When I do my edits here, you'll see these are the tools here in Picasa: crop, straighten, red eye, feeling lucky, retouch. And so I can use these tools. Well, one of the tools, let's straighten this out. It's not, it's a little crooked when it was scanned in. And so I can come in here, I can straighten it out. Once I have it straightened out, I'm going to crop it, get rid of that extra space, or if there's stuff there, let's crop it there. Let me get that. So now we've cropped it. I can do the I feel lucky. The I feel lucky does a pretty good job there. One of the things I notice is there's a blemish here. The blemish was when it was scanned or in the original photo. So if I look here, maybe you can see there's a blemish there. Well, I can retouch this. Let's retouch that area. And I got rid of the blemish there. So let's do that. We'll apply. Here's a blemish down here. I can get rid of that if I want. Let's go down here in the sweater. I can get rid of that. So you can do some simple retouches. You can do some simple edits there. If it had red eye, I could use the red eye in there. Fill light, I don't need to use the fill light. But let's go to this next tab. This is where it has some of the other options, highlights or shadows. Well, I can improve this because I can see that it could use a little work in the shadows here, and I can darken it up. So I can darken it up, make it look a little better there. And you can see your histogram down here. This is the distribution of the colors and things like that. And you want kind of it spread out over the entire graph if you've got lots of colors. And so this is looking good there. And that's all the editing I have to do with that photo. Let's go on to the next one. Here's another photo. Let's go back here. I don't have to straighten this one. I should crop this one. This is from 1975 at my aunt's house in Colorado. And there I am there. But you can see the colors are all washed out. This was probably shot with a 126 camera and doesn't look too good. But again, with a little bit of editing, I can say, I'm feeling lucky. One click, I've now made it usable there. There's myself. And so that looks okay. I don't need a fill light. I don't need to retouch. I don't need shadows. That one looks okay. Let's move on to the next one. Next one is probably from about 1975 also, an old image there. This one I have to rotate. Well, I can easily rotate. then I can go here and I can crop because we've got this dead space in here. So we might as well make this more pleasing to the eye and center everything. So we can get this, we can say apply. The color is not too bad, but in most photos, you can improve the color. There, I can improve the color with one touch. Improve the color. Got a good photo there. Let's go on to this one. This one people may remember. This is from the PC Club picnic out at Battle Lake there. And this photo is the group photo of everybody. And it's not too bad, but we can improve it. First thing we do usually is, like I do with almost all the photos, is I come through and I do a crop. Crop the most important area. Focus people on what your subject is and what you want it to be. So we crop it. This also has dark. We do have shadows in here. And the people in front have good tone, but the people in back don't. I can use the fill light. I can add light to the back here. And so we're adding light to the back. I can fill it out. Then I can do I'm feeling lucky. And we end up with a good photo here of everybody. So that's all the changes I need to make on that one. Okay, this is one of my nephew from this past Christmas. Took a selfie. So this is a selfie of him with his family and my sister and her husband. And again, don't just take the photo for what it is. You can always improve it. And I can come in here and I'm going to crop this. So the most important thing in the crop here is probably this area here. And again, you can experiment with crops to see what works, what doesn't. We'll crop that area there, and we'll do the I'm feeling lucky. Now you can see the faces are a lot bigger. You can recognize people and stuff like that, whereas before you just kind of had a mundane picture. Now you've got a better photo there. Okay, here's another one. This happens to be my nephew also, and my great nephew at a basketball tournament. They won. Again, can do the same basic things. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to crop it. So we don't need all of this stuff here. This adds nothing to the photo. In fact, it's hard to see the people in the photo. But if we come through here, and let's crop this image to just the champions here. And let me do that. Let's apply it. Now all of a sudden you can see the faces. This is a much better photo than the ones where it was so small. And I can do the I feel lucky to improve the color a little bit. And we're done. So you can see the quality and the improvement of these photos. It just takes a matter of seconds to go through and do edits, change the colors, improve it, crop it, change the background, and with just a little bit of work there. I'm using Picasa, but again, you could be using Apple Photos, Microsoft Photos. You could be using a variety of tools and end up with these similar type results there. So that's Picasa, kind of the demo there. Let's go into, we've got some time, let's go into Google Photos. So if I go out here and I can go to Google Photos, and Google Photos, this is going in through a browser to Google Photos there. I can bring up individual photos and let me, let's go down. You can see these are ones that I've shared already. There's the one that I was just demoing in Picasa and cropped it and improved it. But if I bring it up in Google Photos here, Google Photos has this edit. And if I click on the edit here, this is where I have access to these tools. Now the tools that I have access to here are different than if I had the app on my phone and we're making changes. Then I could remove objects and move objects and things like that. I can't do all of the features in the web version that I can in the app, but you can do certainly a lot of the same things that we were talking about before. If I want to enhance it, then it does its best. That's the kind of, I feel, lucky kind of a deal. If I want to rotate it, I can rotate, I can move it. So you have all kinds of options there. Uh, this is where you don't see tools here on the web version, but on the app, on the your Android phone or your iPhone or a tablet, you'd see other tools here. Then we have basic type of changes here. This is where these different contrasts and things like that can be set. Lots of settings that can be manipulated here. So you have that, and then we have filters. This is where you can experiment with the filters to see which one gives you the look that you want. There's honey, or is Ista, or clay, or Apache, and they have a whole bunch of filters that you can use and try out there. But let's close that. We're going to discard. I don't need any of those. But you can see the tool that's available free of charge. You can do your edits using that or any of these other tools here. Okay, that concludes the part here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my PowerPoint here, and we'll look in the chat. If you do want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question there. Or let's see. First, I guess I was going to stop sharing. Let me do that, and I'll turn on my video first here. And where am I here? There we go. Okay, so let's take a look here at the chat and see questions. Chat work. Paula mentions on iPhone I can copy and create a sticker, but I can't seem to erase things. Also, I can copy big things, but not small things like posts or a tree or a branch growing out of somebody's head. Yeah, certainly the artificial intelligence that Apple uses for that is getting better and better. So with each new version, it should get better. Some of these features are only available in iOS 18. So if you've got an older version, you're not going to have all the options. Also, it's a case of Apple is positioning some of this stuff for artificial intelligence locally on the phone, which is another reason that they're trying to sell you a brand new phone then, like a iPhone 17 or 16. Some of the features only work real well on that. You kind of have to try out some of these other services and things like that. Some of them are going to work better for removing things and moving things around. I think I had showed before when we were talking about artificial intelligence, I had showed a photo of Chuck Scott, and Chuck had gone up to a fishing trip in Canada and had sent a photo to the group showing the big fish that he had caught. And I used the site Canvia, and that took me about 30 seconds to replace the fish with a giant weed. And it did an excellent job of doing that, and it did it for free. So you see all these different sites and all these different things. If there's a particular thing that you're looking at doing, do a Google search, try out some of these things, and these packages are only getting better there in how they operate and what they do. Okay, yeah, Paula mentions that it's not so much the iPhone itself, it's the operating system. So you may have an iPhone 13, but if it's up to date, you'll get most of the features there if you're up to date with iOS 18 or 18.3, I believe they're actually on. Okay, on my phone, Samsung, after taking a photo, it is in my gallery. There are some photo tools that you can use to make improvements. Yes, John's correct there. Some of the phones or some of the manufacturers have tools specific to their smartphone. Otherwise, you can use some of these others. It's um, it's again, this manipulation of removing things and adding things. I tend to maybe only do 1 or 2 or 3 a month at most to a photo. The standard edits are the cropping, the improving the colors, doing things like that, and then the other parts of managing where I put titles and things like that in there. That's what can really make things usable there. Other questions or comments, and you can unmute yourself and your video if you want to.
They make it sound so easy, Tom, when you Google, how should I do this? But when you try it, then it's not so easy.
Certainly, I've done it. I've done it, quite a bit to its point for me to easily do it. But the things that I even just did right now, you should be able to do that in a matter of minutes of using the package. So cropping. If you have a good eye for cropping, and if you haven't taken a free photo class or that, I'd highly recommend it. On your phone, on almost every phone, you can go into the settings and you can improve your visual experience of how to frame people and objects in photos. And it isn't just, I'm going to get them in the middle of the photo. That's not the best place to have a face. Uh, uh, the settings in your camera will turn on a frame, and they'll do in photo, it's called the rule of thirds. So if you divide this screen 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 horizontally and 1/3, 1/3, 1 vertically, what you want to do is you tend to want to have the point of interest of your photo in one of the outside thirds. And so there's general photographic principles, and if you take any of the free courses online or the community college or anything like that, they'll teach you the basics of photography, which you'll be surprised how much better your photos and that will look. And that also applies then to cropping, because I can take a photo that somebody else took and I can crop it to make it look better. And part of that cropping and looking better is understanding how our eyes work. And our eyes work being drawn to the brightest color, the lightest part of the photo. And so with the cropping and things like that, you can make the photo that much better and more pleasing for everybody. And like go out to YouTube, and there's a ton of free stuff on photography. Otherwise, there's certainly learning some of this others. But your camera and these other tools also have a bunch. So I mentioned the camera deal with the thirds. Well, you turn that on, and it's only obviously doesn't put that on the photo, but it's there when you're trying to line up your picture and do things, keeping you aware of where you should be putting the main subject. When you have a single person, that's different than multiple people. So there's different rules that will give you better quality photos that are more pleasing to for people to view and understand there. Other questions, comments? And no, go ahead.
Tom, Tom Percasa, as far as you know, that's probably going to hang around a while.
Uh, yeah, Picasa itself. Picasa, Google stopped updating it in 2016, so there have been no new updates. I continue to use it, and I believe, what is it? There's maybe 5 million people currently using it. Uh, you won't find it out on the Google site to download because they don't support it. Google doesn't support it. Google would say use Google Photos, don't use Google Picasa. But within Picasa, I can do a lot more than what Google Photos does, and I can do it a lot faster. I haven't found a better package yet. If I find a better package, then I'd move to it. But at this point, all the features and functions that I do in Picasa, uh, I can't find a comparable package there. Now, a comparable I shouldn't say that. I could find a comparable package in Adobe Photoshop. I'm not willing to pay the price for Adobe Photoshop or the complexity of Adobe Photoshop. So the ease of use of the point and click, the managing, uh, it's just I haven't found a similar package that lets me do it as fast and efficiently as I can do in Picasa. And if you do
So,
want to use Picasa, uh, you can find sites to download it. You want to be careful though, because some of the sites are may contain viruses. So if you're not familiar with downloading software, you do have to be careful what sites you download from to where you're not downloading a virus onto your machine. But there are downloads of Picasa, and actually, I do have copies out on Google Drive that if you can get to things like our handouts, I can send you a link and you can get the Mac version or the Windows version of Picasa, and
great.
it'll install on any version of Windows and any version of Mac there.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and John said, where can you get Picasa now? Yeah, if you Google Picasa download, you will see a number of sites, and uh, I don't know what the percentage would be, but certainly there's some very valid sites where you can download it, but then there's also some uh, uh, virus sites, because virus people who create viruses will put out software, popular software, and make it available for download. Well, as part of your download, usually you're doing an install. And if you're doing an install, that's usually giving permissions on your computer uh, to change your computer and to copy executables and things like that. Well, that's exactly what somebody who creates a virus wants. They want access to your computer. They want you to install. So that's why any software you have to be careful of where you download it from, and that you don't get a virus, that you have an antivirus program that is scanning the software when you download it, and things like that, just to make sure there. Okay. Other questions? And you don't have to just use Picasa, because like I say, if you have Apple devices, use Apple Photos. Everything that I did in Picasa, I've done in Apple Photos. So, and is it easy to do on the iPhone? Not necessarily. If you have a Mac though, and you have a mouse and you have a larger screen, just like I was popping through the photos there, bang, 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 you can go through, you can crop, you can edit, you can change it. If you're trying to do it on the iPhone by itself, it's going to take you longer to do because cropping, you're moving stuff, you've got a small screen and things like that. So usually photo editing and managing is best done on a laptop or a desktop with as large a screen as you can get. And in some cases, people will use two screens to select their photos on one area and view it and manipulate it or edit on the other window, the entirely different display. So uh, if you're going to go through and convert a bunch of photos and do things, you may want to get a better display, get a bigger deal, and then figure out what tools you want to use and what your process is going to be. Yeah, and John mentions Adobe also makes some other software, Photoshop Elements. It's kind of a simpler Photoshop, and there's a ton of apps and a ton of tools out there. Some are kind of the introductory level with the basic things. So it's really a matter of what you want to manipulate in your photo and how you want to use it there. Okay. Any other question or comment? And the other thing, like I mentioned at the beginning, is if I asked people to raise their hand, almost everybody would have the best of intentions to uh, edit and organize their photos. It's just that most people don't get around to do it, and you do have to make that commitment. You do have to pick a tool. When you're going to share, you have to pick a site or a platform on where you're going to share. So you do have to make those decisions. Once you make those decisions, then move forward and don't look at it as I was helping a person a couple days ago and they had Google Photos and they just had, I think, just 2 or 3 years worth of photos, but they had over 5,000 photos in Apple, and they had several hundred albums that Apple had created by month and by year. And she was kind of put back, and she goes, "Well, this is a lot of work." And I said, "You just have to. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Start with the most recent photos or the most recent month. Go through, edit those." Refine your process for what's important for you to do and to collect, and then after you get done with the most current month, then go back another month, go back another month, and in a week's time you'll maybe have a year of photos done, and you can just work your way back to all your photos eventually. Okay. Well, I think we'll end it then if there's no other questions or comments. Again, I'll send out the notice for the April meeting, and if you want to attend in person, you have to sign up for the sandwich. Excuse me. Uh, Otherwise, we do have the MaxSig coming up this Friday, and then the next question and answer is in April there. So we'll see everybody. Everybody take it easy.
Okay, thanks, Tom. See
Yep.
you later.
We'll
Bye.
see you later then. And Paula mentions there are cookies and that with the sandwiches. So sign up and we'll see you there. Bye.